Why hello, this is my face. Kind of my face. I'm too close. You can't even see all of it. Let's fix that. I'm a mess. This is already a mess. Oh my goodness. Hi!
Chaos. I can't even sit down before the chaos. Heaven help me. Lord helps him who helps himself. And oh Lord, I gotta help myself. But this is my face, this is my hair, this is what I look like. You know, you only get so far in the internet world without showing who you are physically, in addition to, you know, your personality type and all that kind of stuff. You kind of have to have the whole picture up on offering. Put it out that way. But this is what I look like. I'm sorry if you're disappointed. I know my voice does not really match too much what my actual body looks like. That's okay. That's okay. We're here. We're here anyways. We're gonna have a good time. But this is me. So hi. Welcome to this channel. So for this first video of showing my face, what did I decide to do? I went to Five Below. And we're gonna play with art supplies from Five Below. I found a whole bunch of fun stuff because, you know, at the core of who I am and what I want to do is I want to make art with stuff that isn't necessarily artist quality supplies. Like, I want to show people that it's okay. You don't have to get the fancy supplies. You know, it's the person, it's the soul. It's not the stuff you're doing it with. You know, the soul of an artist is what counts. You use anything that you can find to make art with. It doesn't matter what you're using. That's not really the point. We'll see what we can get from Five Below. I'm so impressed with this. $3.25. $3.25. It has like a little water brush in it, a little sponge in there, a whole bunch of colors. You know, even if it's like only partially pigmented, we might actually get some good stuff out of this. I'm very hopeful for this. So, a good little like travel set. I like that. I like that a lot. Calligraphy set? I don't know. I love line work, and maybe this will be good. I don't know. We're gonna find out. It's worth a shot. Another calligraphy pen set. Surely one of the two sets will be good. I don't know. Hopefully. It's already chaos. Yo, I'm a chaotic person is what it is. So who doesn't love crayons? If you don't, you're wrong. Try them again. I mean, I'll use them, okay? I'll use them.
But look at these brushes. Look at them. They have glitter on the bottom, and you turn them over, and the glitter goes down. It took me straight back to childhood. I needed these. Even though I don't have any acrylics or oils like from the Five Below, I still wanted these. So there's. I might have to go back to a different Five Below to find some sort of acrylic that I can use, but we'll give it a shot. Surely between.
And don't call me Shirley.
Surely between these, one of these we're going to be able to make art from. So one of these will work, or multiple. I don't know. We'll see what we can do. Also, watercolor paper. It's pretty thick. 300 GSM. That's pretty good. That's about the weight I like to use because I'm rough on things. I'm rough on paper. So even if it doesn't work very good for watercolor, at least we'll use it for like pen and paper and ink and that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, my hopes aren't high because it was only $5, but maybe it's good. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
We're gonna test these out. I don't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect. We're just gonna figure this out. And I'm most excited about this watercolor palette. I just am, because you can get very high quality ones that are actually very expensive, but at $3.25, it includes a water brush. I mean, that is pretty dang good. But these travel ones, you just take this and a sketchbook with you and you fill up that water brush and that's all you need. That's pretty dang good. I'm hoping it has some pigment. We're gonna find out. Oh no. Oh no. So here's a tip if you're having issues with getting some pigment off of a palette. Just soak the whole thing. That was a spray bottle and I just had some distilled water in. I just sprayed the dang thing all the way down. Let it soak for a minute or two. And then got that water brush in there and did the dirty.
Stop it. Get some help.
It's not great pigment, it's just not. But I mean, get your expectation in the right place. This was a very cheap supply. Calligraphy set next. I don't know what to expect with this thing. I mean, fountain pens are kind of expensive. The good ones are expensive, so maybe these will be okay enough to play with. These are really pretty looking. I'm just hopeful that it'll actually work. I mean, this stuff that comes from Five Below and other kinds of like dollar store things, you know, I don't really ever have high expectations. Problem number one. Getting the dang ink in the thing. This one did not want to take it. This one didn't want to take the cartridge at all. It wasn't like piercing the actual cartridge. That was the issue with this one. I couldn't get it to actually pierce it. It kind of went in. It was like bending all the plastic inside because the whole thing, the interior was made of plastic. And it took some work to get this thing to actually puncture it and get the ink flowing. I don't think I would recommend these. It took a lot of time. I cut out most of the footage of this. I probably spent 15-20 minutes just trying to get the cartridges to go in that thing. Oh my goodness. And, you know, test the ink. It is water-based ink, as most fountain pens do that kind of ink so that it doesn't get clogged in it. I tend to prefer water-resistant inks so that I can put watercolor on top of it and have less smearing. But, you know, that's just a preference for how I do art. Maybe you like water-based inks. I don't know. There are no rules here. There are no rules in art. None at all. But the second set has all sorts of fun colored inks, and that just sounds right up my alley. If they're going to be water-based anyways, we might as well have the fun colors instead of just the black one, because I am going to end up mixing these with water anyway, and they're just going to get messy because that's just who I am, but I can't help it. I chose blue and I chose orange because those are nice fun colors. You can do some fun stuff with those, and see, we'll check it with some water, and yep, it moves around with water. I mean, you can use this kind of thing as actual watercolor. Let's check on these crayons. I like skin tone sets because it's a whole bunch of different neutral and brown tones, and those are kind of things that you don't often find in kids' supplies. Kids' supplies are often very bright, vibrant, because that's what kids are drawn to. Stuff like this tends to be more skewed towards adults, and it's really cool for landscape kind of stuff. That's why I like these kind of new skin tone sets that have come out in the last few years. They're really cool for landscapes. And you know, classic Crayolas. They had classic Crayolas there too. We'll mix these with the watercolors and hopefully we'll have a good time, because these watercolors are going to need some help. These are just going to have to be mixed media pieces, because I don't think it's going to go so well if I just use one thing on its own. It's just, we're working with what we got. We're trying to see how good we can make a thing from a dollar type of store, you know? Sometimes you just gotta be a little creative on how to do that. Because I don't want to sacrifice the actual ideas. That's not what I want to do. So I kind of just have to work with the supplies to see how I can maybe make them behave in a way that I find acceptable. Since this watercolor palette is super chalky, I think adding it along with line work from the crayons might actually get us to a good place. I'm not the type of person that runs out of ideas. That's not really the problem for me. The problem tends to be from how do I get across this? The school of decision paralysis. That's the issues I tend to have. I have too many ideas that I want to do and not enough time to do them all. And so I get hung up on trying to decide which is the one that I want to spend my time on, because all the other ones got to get neglected. There is not enough hours in the day. And so luckily for me, I get to spend a lot of the nights building too. Out in the in-between, I get to go travel. I am but a child, and I have much more to learn. But for most nights, you get to either build or you get to visit. You do one of those two things. Those seem to be the main form of activity, and both have their own joys and surprises. The complexity of the universe is vast and deep and beyond comprehension, and there is no time left over for stasis. You must be always moving and adding. I have found the pathway to traveling through meditation. The in-between is so vast and grand that there's really no need to visit places multiple times. There is plenty to see and experience and organize and create. But sometimes you meet a place that is so interesting and so vibrant and so just overwhelming that you want to see it again. And I want to talk about one of those sorts of places today. I want to talk about the library and my interaction with one of the librarians. If you're interested in learning about the different types of souls, I'll put a video in the cards where I talked about that sort of thing. I am a creator soul, and most of the caretakers of the universe end up being collector souls. And the best interactions I myself have had as a creator soul have been with collectors. That seems to be a really good match. A collector and a creator interacting fills both with a lot of joy in a lot of the cases. I came upon the library in an unexpected sort of way. I had not intended to go, but I was allowed to go. I was allowed to see and visit, and I am very grateful for it. It presented as a storefront in a mall. One of the old malls that had been taken over by the community and turned into other sorts of businesses, and each of the storefronts was some other person's building dreams. So as I passed, I saw many, many different dreams that were being built by many other beings. I was not building, I was visiting. That is the difference between the two. And so in this mall, I walked into the library. If you know what a Macy's is, how that is a larger department store, it was like an old Macy's that had been taken over by the community, by a universe, to be something else. And in the front entrance, there were tables that were littered with old books and scrolls and maps and children's books and boxes that I couldn't understand what might be in them because I didn't open them. I don't know. But there were all sorts of objects of all sorts of shapes and sizes. Very beautifully bound leather books with gold writing on them, right next to stapled together sheaths of printer paper that had been written on, next to partially decomposing thick scrolls of papyrus, all sorts of information that came in all sorts of shapes and sizes. It very much had the feel of a used book fair, where you would go and just find who knows what kind of used old books just lying about ready for a new customer to find. It had that sort of feeling to it. And I immediately got very excited because I love book fairs. I love finding gems in old books. Things that are hidden in old books are so delightful to come upon and to see. And all of the shelves and tables and stacks of books everywhere went farther than I could see. It kept going. It went farther than I could actually comprehend. It just kept going. And to be honest, still today, I do not know if this is the one library that exists or if this is one library to encompass this particular part of universe. Because the universe is so vast and grand that it might actually take multiple libraries. And I don't know. I don't know which that is. The caretaker was very much a nondescript, not very invasive type of soul. He was quiet, he was middle-aged, had a nice trimmed beard that had graying bits. So the thing is, there are a lot of vaguely human-shaped beings out there. He was not a human, but he was human-like. That's a very common thing I've found in my travels. This was a job in which his entire role was to care for the books that were around. Because this is the database of the universe. This is where the markings of your soul go. Each soul has its own book, or its own pamphlet, or its own box of items. The first book that I picked up had very faint writing. And so what I did is I took a Sharpie out of my own pocket, out of my own energy, and began to, in between the lines, re-letter some of the words that were within that book so that they could be better read by somebody else. And I am hereby going to apologize to the soul who I created a core memory for, when that memory probably should have just been a common everyday memory. I am sorry. Your new core memory of hiding an important thing in your PlayStation. I was a puppy in the library chewing on table legs, not knowing what I was doing.
I'm a chaotic person is what it is.
I apologize. If you ever see this video, I'm sorry. I did not know what I was doing. Those of you who are going to get upset with me for defacing the Akashic Records, listen to me.
Hi.
Okay.
What I did was not that bad, okay? The caretaker was amused. He could have very easily kicked me out, but he did not. He chose to interact with me, and he asked if I needed any help. And at this point, with my slowness finally understanding where I was and what I had just done, I asked him, "How long is it free to read?" He paused, amused for a minute, because this is a question that had never been asked before. He had never been asked this question, and other souls started gathering around us because they wanted to know too. They wanted to see the new thing that I had just done, the new thing I had just added to universe. Because the question had been asked, now there must be an answer. He thought for a minute, gently smiling and amused, and gave this answer. It is free to read until you learn of yourself. And if that isn't the most interesting interaction I've ever had traveling, I don't know what is. This is the only time I have been allowed to visit the library, and I deeply hope I can go again. I think the interaction can be interpreted in several ways, and you are free to come up with your own interpretations. But I think for me, the interpretation is, it is much more valuable to look further into the distance for others in a sense of teaching and learning, and that it actually can be harmful to the development of your own soul to try to see the path that is in front of you for yourself, to try to peek ahead in the chapters of life for your own self. You can for others, but it is actually detrimental to do it for yourself, which is an incredibly interesting aspect of universe. Don't cheat on your own tests. Thank you for hanging out today. Keep your cup full. Go make some cool stuff. Bye.